Hancock is with me here today, and we have guests in studio. Initially, Dwayne, I thought we were going to be on the Brian Ford Lincoln race lines, but it turns out, man, our guest was so interested in being in here with us today that he drove all the way over here from Napoleon today. So
right, and he's a returning guest, so we must not have offended him too bad the first time. So. But yeah, and I tell you, this guy, I think you're going to hear a lot more of him this year. He's been running good the last few years, but we got Napoleon, Ohio's Tyler Gunn, 410 driver. Welcome to On Throttle, Tyler.
Yeah, thank you.
And Tyler, you know, the season last year probably didn't go exactly how you wanted it, but you was running good. You got 4th in fast points, 6th in Fremont points. Anytime, especially the fast deal, is a tough deal. And being in the top 4 points, I mean, that's a solid performance. I'm sure you probably wanted, you know, some wins and, you know, wanted it in the top spot, but couldn't have been that bad of a year.
No, it was actually a really good year. I made one goal going into the year. I didn't want to tear up too much stuff. And we started with the same car we finished with, same wing, same everything on the car. We had some mishaps. We pretty much made about every show, but I think 3, and ran up front most night. And if we weren't up front, we got to the front and pretty much in the top 10 every night, but a few nights. So if we could have pulled off some wins, it would have just made it a phenomenal year. But we were close. We just couldn't make it happen.
Well, anytime that you finished with the same car you started with and have the same wings on it, that's a huge success right there.
Yeah, I tore up quite a bit of stuff my first few years of 410 racing, and I made a goal last year. You got to be consistent, and if you ain't consistent, you ain't going to finish up front. So it's all about starting and putting it back in the trailer, and that's what we did every night.
Well, and you know, you ran some non-wing shows too, and probably one of the most impressive drives all year was at Mansfield, the non-wing car. Man, that was a good drive. You almost didn't put in the trailer that night.
Yeah, we had a good car. We tried some new things and tried a different right rear shock, and because I didn't think there was going to be a curb, and I laid her up against the wall, and she hooked and went, and we got to the lead, and I stuffed it in the wall 2 or 3 times and said that was enough and calmed down, and ended up finishing 3rd. But I think,
Tyler, what's the secret? What's the secret to that? I mean, you know, because that's not as easy as what it sounds. You say, okay, I'm going to go out and I'm going to put it back in the trailer every night without any bumps and bruises on it or me. But that's easier said than done, man. You don't have total control over that.
No, you don't. You just kind of gotta be smart and think a lot more in the seat. That's what I learned a lot this year. You gotta do a lot more thinking and mentally prepare. If you aren't prepared, then you're gonna tear stuff up. You're gonna wad stuff up. And going into the night, you wouldn't stick your nose in a hole if it was too tight or something like that. You just think a little bit more than just doing it. And before, I'd always just do it, and I'd end up wadded up. So this year I did a lot more thinking in the seat, and it makes you a better driver, and sometimes you got to lay back and do that. You might not get the finishes you want, but you got to put it in the trailer.
See, what he's saying is he's matured as a 410 driver, you know, and you see this with a lot of people. The first year or two, I mean, you just tear a lot of stuff up because, like I said, you try sticking in holes that because one, you know, you've never been in a 410. I mean, you know, you race 305 stuff, and it's it's different still in the 410, and there's guys you're racing against some of these guys that do it full time for a living, and they're not afraid to stick their nose in there or squeeze you or give you a wheel or that, and so you try that, and you usually end up on the bad side of things, and it is, and you've seen that a lot. I mean, anybody that's watched Tyler over the last few years can say he's still very, very aggressive, but it's a smart aggressive. It's kind of patient aggressive. Like I said, you got to think in the seat, and this year I think it's going to make him pay off with some wins because he was so close last year several times, and you got to have a little bit of luck on your side too, and I mean, the cards didn't fall quite right, but I'm thinking this year they're probably going to.
I hope so. I just know leading them and running second and nose blowing off everything last year. I just needed a little bit of luck, and I think we could have pulled a few wins off. But that's okay. We ran second a few times. We charged from the tail a few times and had some pretty good runs. You can't really complain. So,
well, no, one thing, I still say, and I get to a lot of races, a lot of non-wing shows. I still say we need to get you a non-wing ride. I know Mom don't like it because I was trying to convince her the other day when I was over to your race shop or to the shop, and but man, this guy's a beast. I mean, he's a beast in the 410 wing car, but non-wing, he's one of the most talented guys in a non-wing car I've seen in a long time, and I'd love to see. I know you got 5 non-wing shows on your schedule, and love to see somebody. See what some of us see and put him in a car for a few rides, if nothing else.
Yeah, I'd love to do some more non-wing shows, but it's so hard with the Fremont and Attica and the Fast deal. It's so hard to get off that deal. Rich and all them guys, that what they do for us and what they pay us to run that deal, it's kind of hard to go do something else. I'd like to run the non-wing car more, but I'm pretty excited for the 5 races we got. We get to go back to Mansfield and Kokomo, and I've been wanting to go to Kokomo for years, but my dad wouldn't let me because that's where the best of the best are, so we're going to go see how we run with them. And I'd like to get the Eldora for the King's Royal or something, but you never know what will happen. If we got something together and not racing that weekend, we might just be there.
Right, and that's one thing that I've seen. I've seen that on your list, the Kokomo deal. I was going to ask you about that, and I think that would be a pretty neat deal. And if you drive like I've seen you drive, I think you'd be all right with those guys there. I mean, because, it's kind of a unique deal because it's actually going to be 2 divisions of non-wings that night, the USAC part and the boss part. So, I think that's going to be very interesting.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited. That's one of the biggest races. I'm looking forward to that, and getting back in a non-wing car at Mansfield. That place is just awesome in a non-wing car. I like it in a wing car too, but it's just pure awesome in a non-wing car.
Well, and speaking of that, the wing car, we're a month away from a $100,000 win winged 410 race at Mansfield, and I see that's on your schedule. That's got to be something you're probably looking forward to.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. We ran pretty good there the last time we were there for that 15,000 to win show. We made the show in both cars and finished the feature, and a lot of cars didn't. That's all I was looking for. It was a late night, and we probably could have finished a little better than what we did, but we still, I think, finished 12th, and the car was still in one piece, so that's all that matters.
Well, yeah, and I mean, this thing pays good money throughout. I was looking at the purse the other day, and I mean, just to make the A main is going to be good. But like I said, you get up there in the top 10 or so, which I think you can do. It's going to be a pretty good payday, and I think that thing's going to be pretty interesting how it pays out. And hopefully this weather gets a lot better, so we got a chance to do that.
Yeah, hopefully the weather clears up for that deal. If not, I think it's really going to hurt that place because they keep trying and trying and trying, and the weather just isn't their friend. Last year they had that Triple Crown deal, and all the weather, every time the weather was a doubt, and hopefully it's nice for that weekend so they can that place is a really nice facility, and it'd be really nice if they could get that place up and going.
Oh, yeah, especially with all the money, like you said. I mean, they got this $100,000 to win sprint car race this year. They got $250,000 to win late model race, and I know they want to make the sprint car race bigger. Then they got the Great Lakes deal, as you mentioned, with the Fast and the Boss cars in August, which I don't know. Last year, like I said, that paid $15,000 to win, and I'm assuming it's going to play something like that again this year. So there's some big races there, and luckily for you, you seem to have that place. Like I said, you do pretty good there. It seems like you found something there.
Yeah, we did some testing in the non-wing car there at the start of the year. We didn't pull out the wing car, and we found something in the non-wing car, and it related over to the wing car, and we ran pretty good there last year, so I'm excited to get back there with both cars, and hopefully we run good and make the show. That's all we're asking.
Now, yeah, I seen you fire the car off over the weekend. You've been ready. I mean, you had a car complete, what, in November?
Yeah, we had the car back together before the banquets and stuff last year, and we tinkered around and bought another new car, and had a car together complete from last year. So we're sitting pretty good right now. So if we do tear a little bit of stuff up, which we don't want to, but we'll be ready. But for that $100,000 to win race, that kind of money on the line, you just never know what will happen.
Well, yeah, that's one of those deals. If you're running second or third and the top 2 is right in front of you with a few laps to go, you might stick it in a hole that you wouldn't any otherwise.
Yeah, that's for sure. With that kind of money on the line, if you got a chance to win it, you're going to try it no matter what it is. So, and if you don't, I don't know who wouldn't. So,
right.
If you ain't got a shot at it, and if you got a shot at it and you don't do it, I don't know. I know I would. So if I tear something up, I tear something up, I guess. But that's $100,000 I want.
That's right.
So bring the non-racing guy back into the mix here for just a little bit with you guys. I mean, how in the world do we come up with? I mean, because I understand that most Saturday nights the racers go out, they're just lucky to get enough money basically to cover the trip that they've made if they can do that. Okay,
right.
How all of a sudden do you come up with a show that's going to pay you $100,000 to win?
That's just the track. Like, yes, 3,000 to win and 300 to start, I believe, at Attic and Fremont both this year for most of the shows that Tyler's running. Okay. And it's just a big show. Like Tyler said, these guys at Mansfield, they're trying to get this place rolling, and they're not afraid to throw money around. And it's a non-sanctioned show. Yeah. The All-Stars are off that weekend. Fast is off that weekend. Attic and Fremont's going to be off of the 410s to try to, give these guys, these local guys, a chance. And that's kind of what they do. I mean, they didn't do an outlaw sanction. The Outlaws are out of town. They have a sanction in that. You'll get some of the all-star guys, but Pennsylvania's got a big race that weekend, so it kind of eliminates some of those guys. But, you have 40 or 50 of the local guys there going for huge money, and that's just what this guy's trying to do.
Yeah, well, he's trying to make a big splash and get people to come to the race, obviously, huh?
Oh, yeah, definitely. And, I think it's great for our local teams, and I'm sure Tyler will agree. I mean, Eldora's biggest sprint car show is $50,000 to win.
Wow.
And there's Knoxville Nationals pay more money. So this is, I think, the second highest paying sprint car race in the United States this year to win. So, I mean, it's going to be huge.
Now, will there be some new faces in that race because of that? I mean, folks that you're not accustomed to seeing, Tyler, on a Saturday night?
Yeah, I'm sure you'll get some of the all-star guys and maybe some guys pulling off the Woo Tour and going and running that race for that kind of money. You'd kind of be silly not to. And I'm sure there's a lot of different guys that I don't run with weekly, from PA to all them guys. I see some of those, Lance DeWeese and all them are supposed to be there, and so it's going to be a big deal, and there's going to be a lot of cars and a lot of good ones.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely, and I agree with what Tyler said. And you could see a guy like Brian Brown. You could see some of these guys that just hit and miss all over the United States, and like I said, Lance DeWeese, some of those guys that's not really running for points in Pennsylvania. It's going to be interesting to see who shows up and how it all plays out. But I think one advantage is guys like Tyler's had some races on that track, and it's kind of a tricky track, as he said. So that can make things a little interesting, maybe give a little home field advantage, per se, to Tyler and some of the guys that's raced on there 3-4 times already.
$100,000 would kind of make the season.
Yeah, it would make a few seasons. You could, if you were smart, you could make that go a long ways and kind of just piece it out a little bit by little bit. But we race for a lot less budget than that, and continue to run for what we run and run good and make a do with what we have. So,
well, yeah, and that's the thing. People don't realize how expensive it is, especially to run up front. And I know you're running for the fast deal, and you got some new help this year too. Gary, I know, came on board. He helped Jody Keegan for years and different people, and maybe Gary can bring some of this experience to the team a little bit too.
Yeah, we ran together pretty good. We went to Wayne County last year to try it out, and we ran pretty good. It was a lot. I was doing it all myself, turning wrenches, driving the car, getting to the track, so it made it a little easier on me, and me and him worked together pretty good. We ran good that night. We ran third and blew up at the same time, so so we'll call it a kind of a successful night, but we worked together. I could watch the track a little bit more and watch and do what I needed to do in the seat compared to worrying about the car and turning wrenches on it, and so it just made it a lot easier and a lot less stressful for me. So hopefully this year it helps me in the seat, and we can get rolling and just our heads together. We can win some races and run up front every night.
Well, and that's another thing, you was doing it all, and now you may, like I said, you'll be able to breathe, be able to relax a little bit and concentrate and get your head on straight before you go out to go. Like I said, you're seeing what you got to do before you even have a chance to do some of that. So that makes a huge difference. And I think you'll find that out, that's going to make a very big difference as the year goes on this year.
Yeah, I think so. It will make a huge difference. I know before it was just it was hard for me to doing it all myself. It was hard for me to do it all at once and go watch the track. So this year I'll be able to watch the track and see what it's doing and know where the line goes, and so you're not out there guessing the first 2 or 3 laps and figuring out what you got to do. You'll know as soon as that green flag drops that where you need to be and what needs to be done. So.
See, what he's saying is this is typical local racer. A lot of them do it all themselves, especially starting like Tyler, you're out there working on the car doing that. You don't have time to do what some of these guys just show up and sit in the seat and drive, and that's all they do.
Sure.
And they get there and watch the track. They'll sit there and watch races and see how the track's changing all the time. Well, when you're working on the car and doing your own deal, that track might change enough in a half hour, 45 minutes, but you're changing your car that you don't see it, and you go out there the first couple laps and it's totally different than you think, and that a huge advantage for, to get some help where you don't have to do that nonstop.
No doubt about that. Well, guys, we were talking money. We got to talk money here in the queue as well. How's that? Because On the Throttle is sponsored. That's why we're here. It's always brought to you by the Brian Napa Store, Suburban Auto, AJ Door, Brian Ford Lincoln, Jason Dietz Customs Collisions, Trailers and Trailer Repair, and Fast Forward Motorsports. We have Tyler Gunn with us here today, and we're back to talk a little more racing right here on the Q 96.5 FM.
We'll hit your sponsors and stuff when you.
We make the entire process easy. The Brian Ford difference. We don't want to just sell you a vehicle today. We want you to be a customer for life.
And Brian Ford Lincoln, one of our sponsors here. They also do the Brian Ford Lincoln race line, and today we are lucky enough to have a racer right here in our company, Dwayne, which is always a good thing.
Oh yeah, Tyler lives in Napoleon, which it's great to have a 410 driver that's running up front at Attic and Fremont Weekly that close to us, and Tyler, I mean, we're sitting here waiting on the racing season, or guys like me, because, well, I haven't seen a race since January, which is a long time for a guy like me, but some of these people haven't seen a race since like September, October. But you've been doing a little bit of traveling with the team. You've seen some races. You've been out on the Outlaw Tour a little bit with Trevor there, Baker. A little bit. You've been to Vegas and a few places. Got to see a few races already this year.
Yeah, I went to Florida with him to check that out. We want to try to get down and do that deal one of these years, hopefully next year, with the wing or non-wing car. And I wanted to go down there and check it out, and it was a good opportunity to go down there and learn some things, see if I could learn anything from Rick Ferkel, and see if I could use it towards my own race team and see what it's all about down there. And it was a pretty cool deal. And then he asked me to go to Vegas, and went out to Vegas, and it's pretty neat out there with all the NASCAR track and drag strip. Everything right there is just an experience, something someone has to do if they want to go on the road. It's just pretty cool.
Yeah, and hopefully you can bring some of that. Like I said, when you got a chance to spend a little bit of time with a guy like Rick Ferkel that's been around it for 50 years and was one of the best ever to race a sprint car. I mean, that's not a bad deal at all. Just try to pick a little bit up from him.
Yeah, he taught me a lot of just the little things about racing, and I've already started doing it on mine, and it makes it a lot easier and stuff. That it's about making it easier. It's not what do you say? Keep it simple, stupid, and it's all about keeping it simple. And he said you can't stress over it. He says if you don't get the car washed, don't wash the car. He's all about that. He's all about going fast and worried about everything else. And we always worry about washing a car and all this and that. And he says that don't make it go faster. So it's just you got to step back and realize what you're doing. You don't always have to do, and it makes your program a lot better.
I totally agree with that. I've traveled a little bit with Chad Wilson's team, and a couple times there last year, we was worried about washing the car more than getting it ready for the next day. And it's like that mud's it's going to get muddy in another lap or two, anyways. Let's get this thing ready to roll. So that's very true. And speaking of that, who's some of the guys helping? I know you're always one of the guys out there, whether they do benefits for the racetrack or at. You're always out there. Probably one of the best that I've seen drivers going around pushing the pavement to get sponsors and get backing. And you always have a whole list of guys helping you. How's your list this year?
Pretty good. I got a lot of people that's helping me this year. I got Red Barn Sales and Surface and Liberty Center with Ferris Mowers. They helped me out big time. They came on board last year, and if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be able to do what I'm doing. And Morris Plumbing, he's been with me for years and years and years, and he goes to the races every week. And he's if I didn't have him from day one and micro days, then I wouldn't be running a sprint car nowadays. Henry County Bank, Napoleon, Henry County Chamber of Commerce, World Class Collision. If you need anything painted, he paints my tail tanks. Anything to do with my race car, he paints, and they always look phenomenal. And everyone's always asking who does them, and he does a really nice job. Premier Patch and Paving over by Liberty Center, O'Reilly Auto Parts, Napoleon, Guns Auto Service in Napoleon, Gressman Power Sports, Keared Speed Shop, and Kistler Racing Products with all my race car part needs.
Yeah, and that's one thing. It's good to have good backing, and it's funny. You always help us out with Hoseville Ohio auction. I actually still got one of your wing panels in my garage that one of my friends, Mark Price, his son Mox used to race against you.
Yep.
And that's what he was texting me. He's like, man, we want one of Tyler's wing panels. We're going to buy it from you, and they're going to come over sometime here and pick it up here in the next week or two. But is this that cool? He's like, and he travels to a lot of all-star shows, a lot of Road Outlaw shows, and he's a big Sammy Swindell fan like I am and all that. And he's like, I said, you a fan of Tyler's? He goes, yeah. He says, Mox raced with him, and I didn't even put that together. But it shows, what type of impression you're making on people that you race with. And here, 5-6 years later, they're out racing, and they're still wanting to support you. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it is pretty cool. I try to do a lot for the tracks because they do a lot for us drivers, and you got to support the ones that support you. And if you don't do that, then you ain't gonna get anywhere. And I'm just lucky for all the guys that help me and all the people that help me with my racing deal. I try to do everything I can to help them because that's what it's all about. If I want to keep racing, it's just the way it's got to be nowadays. It's so expensive, and if you don't got help, it's kind of hard to do.
Well, yeah, and like you said, you're good at promoting stuff, social media, and going out pounding the pavement. Like I said, to sponsors and coming to the tracks or what to show the car off or different things. And that's what you need because, like I said, these purses, some of these people think the promoters are instantly rich, but when you're good, 3,000 win, 300 start, when you're having a $20,000 purse or more through all your divisions, $20,000-$30,000 per night, you need some butts in the seats and guys like you that help promote that and get kids, get some of these younger generation guys out there, and I think you're really good at that. I mean, that's what makes the sport go around.
Yeah, I try to do everything I can. I know last year I had quite a bit of people show up at Fremont, and they enjoyed it. They've never been to a sprint car race, and there's probably 20 people there, and they said they'll be back. And it's people that around here don't know sprint car racing or racing, period. It's all the fair and stuff like that. They don't get out and about, and it's pretty cool to get a bunch of local guys from Napoleon and girls to go up to Fremont and watch me race and enjoy it and have a good time. And they said they'll be back, so that's what it's all about. It's people around here don't know sprint car racing like they do up in Fremont, Attica, that way, because they live around it. So around here they don't know what it is or what it's about, so it's cool to kind of show them what I do and what I enjoy doing.
Well, speaking of that, Jim, right there, his first sprint car race is at Waynesfield, and where do we go? We go to the 68G Tyler Gun Pit, and he's showing him you told him about all that stuff, and Jim learned a lot that night, and he's ready to go again, I think.
I'm ready to go again. In fact, we're going to get over to Attica here relatively soon, because that is a track I really want to go see and be part of, because I've heard so much about it. Tyler, how old of a fellow are you anyway?
22.
22. So in another, 40 years, he and Sammy Swindell will be about the same age.
Right. Yeah, right.
So if you can have the career that Sammy had there, 40 years from now, looking back, I think you'd be a happy boy.
Oh, yes.
Yes, I think he would.
Kind of the opposite ends of the spectrum right now for us, Dwayne. We got, Sammy Swindell, who's an old fart like me.
Right.
And then young guys like Tyler that are really keeping this going and making it work.
Oh, for sure. And, that's what we need, because, like he says, it just sparks interest. You see, new younger guys coming into the races all the time, and some of them don't last too long, some of them last long. And Tyler, I mean, I've watched him race ever since he, 305s on up, and I mean, it's cool because you get to be you get to become friends, get a personal relationship, and you see him grow and see him achieve those goals, and it's just cool because see a guy, here's a 22-year-old kid that's working his butt off to do what he loves and what one of his dreams are. And when we got most kids in society sitting around too lazy to even get out of the house, and you see somebody like Tyler out there busting his butt every single day. I mean, it's cool to see that and see it pay off for him.
Yeah, it really is. It really is. Most guys are just doing video games right now, racing on the Nintendo here,
That's right.
Or the Xbox or whatever. Yeah, that is kind of neat. Well, guys, I'll tell you, let's take one more quick commercial break, and then let's get back and talk about racing, because it is going to get going this weekend, hopefully, if the weatherman cooperates with us. And then after that, it gets real serious, I'm sure, in the course of the next couple of weeks. You're on the throttle with Tyler Gunn and Dwayne Hancock and myself here on a Monday, and we'll be right back.
Ohio's largest trailer dealer with over 300.
Today, we want you to be a customer for life.
And Brian Ford, one of our sponsors here today, along with the Brian Napa Store, Suburban Auto, AJ Door, Jason Dees Customs Collisions and Trailer Repair, and Fast Forward Motorsports. With me here today, Mr. Dwayne Hancock. And Mr. Hancock, racing maybe officially starting for you this weekend, as long as the weatherman cooperates.
Yeah, it's Attica Raceway Park on Friday night. Supposed to kick off as long as the weather cooperates, and then non-wing sprint cars are down in Brownstown, Indiana, Friday and Saturday, as long as the weather cooperates there. And our buddy Tyler Perry, the iCar mods start off this weekend at Lucas Oil Speedway in Indianapolis.
Wow.
They practice on Saturday and Sunday's race day. With I know they got CRA late models and street stocks and Vors compacts and that there too. So it could be a big racing. And I know Tyler, as of right now, plans on opening it up at Attica Raceway Park. But and one thing we kind of talked about off air is it's kind of rough on the teams and the engines to start a car and to race if it's down in the low 30s or what, and that kind of detours some of the teams away from racing the first few shows.
Yeah, with it being that cold, it's hard on motors and hard on equipment. And if it's cold the first few nights, we'll probably stay home until it warms up a little bit with a fresh motor and everything. We don't want to hurt it because we'd be done for the season if that happens. So we'll wait until it warms up a little bit. I know our first race we don't have to be is till April 6th, the fast race at Attica. So we'd like to hit one of the first few there to try to test and try to learn, because we kind of struggle a little bit there, and see if me and Gary can get something figured out. And so our first race isn't till the 6th, but I'd like to hit the first two and try to learn. So hopefully it warms up.
Well, yeah, and I see your schedule. You got an ambitious schedule here, like 43 races, I believe, this year, and I think you're running for the fast title again, or for the fast points. And let's talk about that a little bit. It's changed a little bit. I mean, it was always Attica and Fremont. Then they did a little bit of traveling this year, but last year. Now you're getting like Sharon on the Ohio-Pennsylvania line. Got Waynesfield again, Mansfield. It's going to be a pretty neat series where it's not that much traveling, but you get to a few other places too.
Yeah, we do a little bit of traveling. It's pretty nice. I like getting out to Waynesfield last year, and Mansfield's one of my favorites. And we went to Mercer and struggled a little bit at the start of the night last year, and we ended up running pretty good. But we aren't there again this year, so we're going to go out. I guess we're going to go to Sharon this year and try out Sharon. But it's pretty cool to travel around and get to different tracks, because local guys, it's kind of hard to go out and beyond Fremont and Attica and race somewhere else. So it's pretty cool. The Fast Series is taking us to other tracks, and I think it makes me a little bit better driver to get to these different tracks and get put in different scenarios and situations than just Fremont and Attica.
Well, and it gets you more exposure too, and that's what I like what they're doing with the Fast Series. They're not traveling too much, but 2-3 times isn't that bad to ask some of the teams to travel. And Sharon's really, it's what, hour and a half, 2 hours past Fremont, but still, it's not a bad drive there. I've been there several times, and I think that helps too. And like I said, anything make you grow as a driver a little bit, but you never know. There might be 100 Tyler Gunn fans at Sharon after the first race there.
Yeah, you never know what you can do, and you never know, you could go there and run good. We've never ran there, and so it's kind of last year we went to Tom, and it was kind of a slap in the face, because most of those guys ran there, and we just struggled all night long. But it's you got to get there and you got to learn, and if you don't do it, then you won't get any better in a driver. So it was pretty cool. It's pretty cool. I was pretty excited to go to Millstream this year, but unfortunately that isn't going to happen. So it's I'm excited for this year. We're going to go to Eldora this year and try it out there, and we got some pretty good big shows on our schedule, and I think it's time for us to attempt them instead of hiding our tail between our legs and running away. So if you can't get any better if you don't go try.
Well, that's one thing I was going to bring up. I see you got the Kings Royal on your schedule, which I'm happy you're going there, because, like I said, it can make you grow. It can expand your fan base instantly if you do well. That's one thing. The fans, especially down there when you got 30,000 people and you go there and put it to some of the big boys, it's a good way to gain some exposure. But the format for that night, now the 2 nights up that's just the regular outlaw format. It's kind of rough on some of the local teams, but they usually have a special Kings Royal format, and sometimes they're inverting 24 to 36 cars in the heat races, and that helps out guys like you.
Yeah, it will help us out big time if they do that. We're going to struggle qualifying, and heat races probably. We're about 100 horse down compared to everyone else, so we're going to struggle. But if it slicks off like it has been the last few years, I think we'll be just fine. But it's all about laps there. I've never turned a lap there, so we could be 5 seconds off the pace, or we could be a second. So it's we're just going to go there and give it our best shot. That's all we can do. That's what we did with Mansfield, and it turned out pretty good. So that's what it's all about. So if you don't go and try, then you'll never know. So.
Well, that's true, and like you said, I mean, I'd say that's probably the biggest race on your one of the biggest races, the biggest tradition race at Eldora, then the World Championship in Mansfield for 100,000 win, and I'm going to put your third most important race on there is the Boss race or the Kokomo race.
Yeah, yeah. If that was the order I would do it, that would probably be the way it is too. So
I knew we thought a lot about it.
I could tell, man. You two were just mind melding
Right.
over there with me.
Well, yeah, I mean, Tyler, he comes out, supports our Hoserville, Ohio auction, and that, so we've hung out a little bit. We talk, so he's a good guy to talk to in the pits. And as you've seen when you went to Waynesfield, I mean, he took time out of his busy schedule to, show you some in and outs of the sport and that. And that's why we got to get Jim some to see those make it simple guys. That's what we're talking about for Jim.
No doubt. That KISS thing has always been the way that I've learned all my entire life. How's that?
Yeah.
Keep it simple, man. If it's not simple, I don't learn it. No doubt about that. Well, guys, I'll tell you, we're out of time today, but it's always good to have you, Tyler, and best of luck all this next year. If you want to watch the video of this replay, it's up on our live from the Funderdome YouTube page, and you can watch that. And we're working a little bit with some folks to maybe be able to get some of that cleaned up and get some of those out so people can see some of the older programs that are there. We apologize, it's a little bit cumbersome to get back and see all the interviews that we've had, but we're going to get better at that one. Hopefully we got some help coming from Northwest State, and that'll get better as well. But Tyler, thank you as always for stopping by. After you win that $100,000, come over and buy us lunch, will you, on a Monday, and talk about it? How about that, huh?
sounds like a deal.
We'll even eat it. We don't care. McDonald's is fine.
Yeah, that's right. If he does that, we'll make sure he gets on that next day. That'd be awesome. And,
You bet.
Hopefully we'll see you Friday night.
Yeah, hopefully the weather clears up.
And let's hope it gets to be 50 degrees and sunny here. I'll work
That's
with my weather
There you go.
predictions for you. How's that?
You did pretty good with that last year, so I'm sure Tyler would appreciate it, because these guys, even though he's watched some races, I know his right foot's got to be swelling up wanting to go fast.
Yeah.
I'm sure it is. You can tell. That'll do it for us today on The Throttle, all brought to you by your Brian Napa store, by Suburban Auto, AJ Door, Brian Ford Lincoln, Jason Dietz Customs Collisions, Trailers and Trailer Repair, and Fast Forward Motorsports. And we do it every Monday right after the noon news right here on the Q 96.5.